I have a video that I'd like to share with you. It's about blood pressure. I had a health answers video a while back on blood pressure, different type of thing, and was very good. It now this one comes from Mayo Clinic, so it's a little different, but it's updated a bit, and I think it's important, especially if you suspect or know that you have high blood pressure. High blood pressure usually doesn't affect how you feel. That's the problem. You may not know it until you find out at a doctor's visit. So you should always do that, of course. Well, make no mistake, high blood pressure is a serious issue, however. Left untreated, it can damage your blood vessels, many organs over time. The higher the blood pressure and longer it goes untreated, the greater risk it was caused. Some years ago, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. And I've been taking, or had been taking, I'll tell you the story in a moment, blood pressure medicine for a number of years. And it would always keep my blood pressure in normal and had really no problems. But one of the things that it's important is that you can get treated for it, as I did, and had no real problems with it for many, many, many years. Well, with each beat of the heart, nutrient and oxygen-rich blood surges through your heart, and the main pumping chamber, is the left ventricle into an intricate network of blood vessels. Just a little bit of thought about how it's calculated, or so you have a little bit of background on it. These blood pressures, or blood vessels, deliver nutrients and fresh oxygen to your body. And your blood pressure is the amount of force exerted on the axillary walls to keep all 11 pints of your blood flowing through your body. Now, you probably knew that it was a measure of blood pressure against your walls. That's nothing new. The fact that it was 11 pipes might be new. But a key force behind blood pressure is pumping of your heart. Your arteries are lined with smooth muscles that allows them to expand and contract as the heart pumps blood through the veins. So, left untreated, high blood pressure can damage your blood vessels by causing them to stiffen or cause the narrowing of your arteries. During a recent need to have surgery, I found out that my heart was really in good shape after all these years and taking blood pressure medicine. And I had no stiffening, no blockage, no nothing. It was really quite great. And through this surgery that I had was unrelated. Actually, I'll just tell you, it was a pancreas issue, a mass on my pancreas, that it had to be removed. It's called the Whipple. Took a little bit of my liver, a little bit of my pancreas, a little bit of the food arteries that took your food and digested it. And I took a little of it and put it all together, and it was in good shape. Hope you never have to have that. Mine's been fine. I love it, the outcome of it. Well, anyway, your blood pressure is also influenced by your kidneys. This regulates the level of minerals in your body, such as sodium. So, blood pressure sometimes can be affected by too much sodium in your body. I probably had, over the years, before diagnosed and given my treatment for my blood pressure medicine, which they found was necessary to keep my blood pressure in order. It's a silent killer, and it doesn't always affect the same everybody, and it can be treated with different kinds of things. But you need to know your numbers. In November of 2017, the American College of Cardiology and the American Heart Association released new guidelines for the first time in 14 years to change the definition of high blood pressure. The change was made to account for newer evidence that health problems can occur at lower blood pressure levels. Now, in my previous video, I talked about that a bit, and that's not necessarily new because it was certainly after this survey came out or test, whatever. The guidelines recommended you reduce your blood pressure to less than 130/80. It had been 140/90. In fact, some even want to get you down to the 125/75 range. Well, most important factor you have in controlling is to know your blood pressure and then taking some steps to correct it. For me, surgery probably had something to do with it. The fact that they discovered I really had no heart problems, no blockage, and started monitoring my blood pressure more regularly. I do it now every single day. Bought a little meter, $25 or whatever it was, and I do it every morning. I'm going to tell you the results of it in a little bit. But I just want to tell you that there are things that you should be doing to consider correcting it if you find out you have high blood pressure, especially if it's over 130/80. Now, if it's below that, maybe you should do some of these things to make sure it doesn't get too high. Now, that's the point that I'd like to stress right now, is that you can go in and get your blood pressure checked, and maybe it's not a real problem, but maybe you just want to do some things to prevent it from being a problem later on. Well, it was a bit late for me when I got mine checked. I had to take my medicine and take it for a number of years, as I said. The most important factor in controlling your blood pressure, here's the steps. First of all, is choose healthy food, and I did. Actually, I did that for a number of years, long before this, which probably helped the progress of my blood pressure going down, which it did. The second one is watch your salt intake. Make sure you don't have a heavy amount of sodium in your intake. Just about everything you buy at the grocery store now tells you all these things, factors: cholesterol, carbohydrates, sugar, sodium, vitamins, all these things. You can keep track of it. You should limit your sodium intake to no more than 2,300 milligrams. That's about 1 teaspoon a day. So one of the factors I did is I just didn't add salt to anything for a number of years. I didn't add sugar either, by the way. I still got some higher blood sugar counts, which is another video I'll get into a little later. Well, another one is get up and moving around. Exercising helps with hypertension. Limiting your alcohol, cutting out completely tobacco. Too much alcohol raises your blood pressure and adds extra calories. Taking the right medicine. And there's a lot of all called beta blockers, ACE drugs, whatever, calcium channel blockers, whatever. In my other video, I talked about all of those, which ones were really good and which ones you should consider doing right away. Well, I did many of these things. And what we needed to do is to monitor all these things as I went along. And you also think about mental stress, your emotional issues, your behavioral, and other kinds of chemicals. And this can all be helped by if you go to your doctor. However, for me, my blood pressure had been approaching 140 over 90. It was regularly in the 130s, 80 plus range, even when I was taking medicine. But for several years following what I just said, and this surgery that I had, I found out I no longer have high blood pressure. This is marvelous. I am no longer taking my blood pressure drug that I probably took for, I don't know, let's call it a lack of a really absolutely knowing for sure, 10 years. Might have been 12. But now for the last 2 years, I haven't had to take it of any amount. For the first maybe year, I was monitoring. If I had hit around 130, I would take one and knock it down and whatever. But it was gradually going down. I get my blood pressure read by myself every single day on this little meter. And it is typically in the 110s, over 70, or even 65. And this is for following these helpful hints. Eating right, limit to your sodium, and just doing some exercise, getting your core values a little higher in your thing. But I must admit, this surgery may have had some things to do with it too. I don't know that for a fact. Immediately after the surgery, though, my blood pressure was still up there a little bit, and it took a while to get it down. About 2 years. Now, I no longer have to take blood pressure medicine. I am consistently in the 115 over 68. And feeling really good. Now, okay, for my other surgery that I had, I am sometimes feel a little bit, not necessarily weak per se, but just not as strong as I used to be. Well, I am 81, by the way. So it's really neat to know that I can do several of things, not everything, but several things that I couldn't do before. And I'm no longer relying on blood pressure medicine. Now, this video is not an end-all, be-all for you. If your blood pressure is getting close to being serious, or in fact it already is, I can't guarantee you what I just have done would stop it. But I can tell you that doing the things that I've shared with you as is very important to watch, to control, and to be under doctor's care occasionally really will help you. And I no longer have to worry about blood pressure. At 81, after years of taking it and no longer having the need, and yeah, I do feel, like I said, a little bit tired from time to time. But that might have been from a lot of different things, including my age. But I just wanted to leave with you the thought. Don't take blood pressure for chance. Have it checked. Monitor it. And I can tell you, by my own true experience, that it can be not under control, which mine was, without any effect on your heart or your blood pressures, according to the doctors that did extensive look at me before my surgery. But even to the point that my blood pressure now is called normal, actually slightly below any of the ranges that you would normally think of as being needing to watch. So I'm hoping happy blood pressure to you. This happens to be the 4th of July, 2021, as I record this. I just spent my morning giving a Sunday school lesson on Facebook Live. Then I went to church. And I praise the Lord for my health and for what it's going. That may be a little something else that you may want to consider if you haven't before. Go to church. Find a good church. And leave it to the Lord. Pray to Him as I have done. And all the things I've done in between that have helped me to reduce my blood pressure. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been a blessing to you. My story has been a blessing to me. Thanks a lot.